Now the wine and the water jugs are made, I've got to now make the chalice. So I want to make this without any joints in it at all, so this part has to be raised. This is keeping it in the same style as what the wine jugs are, more on the straighter lines. So a good idea for you, any of you silversmiths, if you want to know the size of a blank, measure across here and the depth, add the two of them together, and that will give you the size for a circle. Set your compasses up what you want, put it onto the silver sheet. Now the circles are marked out. This will be my base as I start to raise the silver up. So I'm just going to cut this out of the silver sheet. Then I'll block it on here and then I'll start to raise it using some raising stakes. So get a pair of snips like this. Go all the way around like that. Once that's done, I'm then ready to start to raise. Now I'm going to start to shape this on the tree trunk using different blocking hammers to get it to form a bowl. Then I'll have to raise it on a steel stake. So we'll make a start on this now. That's the start of it. Now you can see it's more of a slight shallow bowl. That there is where I'll start to raise from. It just keeps it true with the centre. Incidentally, a lot of people ask where we get these hammers from, but these were used by my grandfather. They were some of his tools. And then my father and my uncle and now my son Simon and the other silversmiths use them. We've got boxes of them which go back quite a long way. Anyway, the next job now, this is getting really hard. I'm going to anneal it. Coat it in Argotech, get it red hot, put it into the cold water, and then that will soften it, that anneals it. Just let the heat come out. If I put it in the water when it's still quite hot, you can end up cracking the silver when you're raising up on the stake. So that now can go into a bit of hot water, it'll just clean it. Then I'll start to do the raising. Right, now this is annealed, it's quite soft now. So I'm going to use my raising hammer on this stake here. And then what I'm going to do is I've got to make this top section here out of that there. So I'm going to draw the silver up to follow this all the way around. And then to match the jug when I'm finished again, it's all going to be in a beaten finish. But there's going to be quite a lot of marks in it as I raise it, and then I'll remove them. So I'll carry it on right to the very end, and that will start to draw the sides up. And then we'll have to go and anneal it again. Very important to get the silver to bear. In other words, you're hitting and jamming it in between the two, but you don't want to stretch the silver, otherwise you'll end up with a too big a disc. So it's just a matter of changing the sort of lie of it so that it just starts to follow the stake up. Now you can already see the sides are starting to go up, and it's already reduced it by quite a bit, the size of the blank. So it's work hardening now, and this is 1 mil thick, so it's pretty heavy going. Some silversmiths would spin this disc over a lathe. The lathe's spinning very fast, and they would use a tool to draw it down, but these items need to be handmade. That's what has been commissioned. So I can't spin it, and I'm going to carry on raising it. So the next process now, anneal it and then just carry on 4 or 5 times like this till the shape is basically up. We're going to be nearly there, which will be to raise that top section. Beauty of this, there's no seams in it or joints or anything. So I'll carry on working a couple more times yet, and then I'll have it the sides where I want them to be. Well, this is closing up really well. Yeah, soon have the sides up straight enough that I want to be on the slight angle to have the top of the chalice made. Just let the heat come out of that before I plunge it into the water, and that will stop the any cracking. But at the moment it's just like a dead piece of silver because it's so hot. Now the raising is finished, I'm just starting to put a series of small little hammer marks around, and this will true it up and remove the raising, the marks in here. So that's just done with a stake like this. I slightly put a bit of emery just to rough up the head, and I can see where I've been. Now you've seen me raising this up, and there was quite a lot of hammer marks and things in it. So what I've done now, I've just removed those with a little piece of emery and gone over with a bit of Scotch-Brite. Next thing now will be to match the top section of the wine and the water jug. It had a little plain rim, so I'm going to make that to match it, just to go around the top edge here. That will be then made, fitted, then soldered down. But I've got to do the planishing first to get exactly the same style of pattern. After that, the next job will be to make the bottom section. That'll be this section here. It's going to be completely straight, probably slightly longer than this yet. And then that will be soldered on, but rather than just solder it onto here, I'm going to use probably a 2mm thick piece of silver. It'll give it a slight little step, and it will look rather attractive when it's finished. Now I'm using a little steel stake like this, and exactly the same hammer as I used before, and I'm going to planish it just on this stake, just going all the way around like this. Well, now the rim for around the top of the chalice is made, you can see it's on a taper to slide down and fit here. So I'll push that right down, and then in a moment I'll take it over and get it all soldered up. Now I've cut the base out, I've just squared the 2 edges up. That will be going to go on here. So I'm going to turn that around on the mandrel here. Turn this round like that, and then I'll solder it together, and then I'll give it the beaten finish after. So that's how that comes together, like that. Now the top rinse finished on there, that's soldered down, and I've been working making the little base here. I want straight sides again to match the sides of the wine and the water jug. It's got to all be trued up and everything, yeah, but where this has got a nice plain edge to match the jugs, I'm going to do the same on this part here. I've got some really thick piece of flat silver. That's going to go there. This is going to slide right up. Then I'll taper this. Then what I'll do is I'll make probably another little edge at the bottom. And then on the top here, I'm going to put a cap on this here. Probably something fairly thick rather than just rest that on there. It'll give a bit more strength through the coming years. And it'll look nicer with a little step on the top there as such, like that. So I'll carry on with this bottom section. First job now, though, is going to be to planish it to get the beaten finish on it like the other pieces are here. But before I do that, this point here on something narrow that goes on the top of the chalice here, this could always be a little weak point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide a piece of fairly thick silver down here. I'll make it tapered finish and solder it in. So it'll give me around about 3 times the thickness. And then the next job before I do that will be to give it the beaten finish. And once that's done, I'll then make up the little plain band to go around the base. That'll match then the wine and the water jugs. And these straight sides are going to match the wine and the water jug. I've got to put a bit of emery paper around the bottom just to remove my file marks. And then I'm going to cap the base with a nice thick silver plate. And that will carry the Guernsey hallmarks. So that's coming together really well. Then our next thing will be to drop a little piece in here. That will strengthen the top and then make the silver disc. And then the top of the chalice will then go down onto there. Well, the chalice is put together now. One thing, I decided not to put the little band inside for extra strength. I put it on the outside because it matches actually the top band along the top here and looks rather attractive. And I've also put the disc on. The base, I decided to do it in a step finish, like down here, because it's got plenty of stability. I'm just undecided whether I'm going to gild the inside. I might do. I'm just going to clean the inside up. I might gild it in 18 karat gold. And the last job before I soldered it, I just put the Guernsey hallmarks on. These are my hallmarks, and they consist the triangle shape on the top with my initials in BR. And then you've got the royal seal of Edward I, which is the Annealing crest. And then you've got 2021, which was 2021. That actually is the Guernsey flag. And then you've got the grade 0.925 silver. So I'm just going to leave it like that now and have a little think what I'm going to do to finish it and with the gilding. Well, now the chalice is finished. It's all been suitably engraved. It's probably a bit difficult. If I tip it on its side, you'll see it a little bit easier. The circles here is part of the crest of the church. And then around here, it's been suitably engraved. Underneath, like I showed you when I was doing it, it's got my Guernsey hallmarks. And then inside, I decided in the end to gild it in 18 karat gold. When you're taking communion, it does look rather nice. So that's another piece made now. So I've just got to go and finish the pattern.